biocomposite. And in the industry, if you put biocomposite, it is classified under biocomposite, the price is lower because biocomposite can be anything. Yeah. So that was the reason we want it to be called plywood. It's palm plywood, but in the ISO standard they call it palm plywood. It's not OPT plywood, it's palm plywood. And under Malaysian standard we call it OPT plywood. Yeah. So that was the two reasons.
Another one, Prof.
Yeah.
Okay, on top of the composite panel that you can produce from the OPT, how about the pulp and paper? Why do people from the pulp industry do not consider this kind of material? Because I know pulp and paper need huge amount of the biomass, and with the numbers, I think should be no problem with that.
Okay, that's simple. It's cheaper to buy than to make our own paper. That's all. It's always cheaper to buy than making our own paper. That's why Malaysia doesn't have any pulp and paper plant, any pulping plant. They have paper mills, but they don't have pulping mill because pulping requires a very stringent DOE. Yeah, the pollutions and everything, they have to be intact. Yeah, the waste management and everything. So that's why we can't afford it. It's just too expensive. Another one is they really need a lot of material. Really need a lot of material. And another thing, maybe OPT, the cellulose is not as much. A lot of it are carbohydrates. Yeah, the parenchyma cells. Those are lots of carbohydrate in that. So if you were to do pulping, you may require a lot more chemicals to do that, and then it is costly. At the same time, fiber from OPT is not long enough if you want to compare with spruce, because most of our paper made from spruce or pine, whereby the fiber length is about 2.5 millimeter, but our fiber is about, especially OPT, about 1.3 millimeter. So very short fiber. So the paper is not strong enough. Yeah, so you need additional other pulp extract.
Just to add on that, in Malaysia they buy a lot of pulp. They also buy a lot of used paper because it's always cheaper to buy used paper or pulp than to buy the timber. And interestingly, for our Indian colleagues of today, a lot of used paper and pulp in Malaysia for the paper machines here of Malaysia come from India.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Farida Matahir, for giving a very insightful knowledge on the interesting topic. As a token of appreciation, I would like to call Professor Dr. Ahmad Ainuddin Nuruddin to present UPM Memento to Professor Dr. Farida Matahir, the fourth speaker for the seminar. Thank you, Professor Dr. Ahmad Ainuddin Nuruddin. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the final session for today, and we will be with Madam Rosida Razian. Madam Rosida obtained her bachelor degree in chemistry in 1985 at the California State University, Sonoma, California, followed by a Master of Science degree in chemistry from the California State University, Long Beach, California in 1988. Madam Rosida started her career when she joined Unilever Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur in 1990 and continues to work with Unilever until early 2004. During her 14 years experience with Unilever, she had several opportunities to work with different Unilever companies, including Unilever Research Port Sunlight in the United Kingdom, Unilever Thailand, and Unilever Brazil Limited. She joined Malaysian Palm Oil Board MPOB in late 2004 as Principal Research Officer and continues to work at the MPOB head office until 2008 before taking up a position in Washington DC, USA as the Regional Manager for Americas in 2009 until 2012. Currently, she is the Director of Product Development and Advisory Services PDAS based at MPOB's HQ Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. With that, I would like to invite our fifth speaker, Madam Rosida Razian, Director of Product Development and Advisory Services PDEAS at Malaysian Palm Oil Board, to deliver her talk on palm oil and health benefits. Please welcome.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to Yang Berusaha Professor and also for all the distinguished speakers and ladies and gentlemen. This morning when I look at the numbers that Mr. Chandran showed about what Unilever makes compared to the Malaysian palm oil industry, I was wondering whether I am in the right business. I was with Unilever before, but I moved to Malaysian palm oil industry. But I'm happy with what I'm doing now. So today, I just would like to share with you what we have done with regards to the palm oil nutritional benefit, especially looking at what people have been talking about it, about the perception, and what is actually the realities about it. So I hope also this afternoon when we had our lunch, the curry, which was very nice, was cooked with palm oil, I hope. Yeah. So today, okay, so some technical. So what I will be talking here is just to focus on palm oil as well as other oil, and what happened when we cook using this oil, and then when we consume this oil, what actually happened in our body. Because now we have a lot of anti-palm oil campaign with regards to palm oil. Besides what we've been talking about the environment, we also have the issue related to nutrition, about the health. So today I will just touch mostly on the benefit, looking at the palm oil and other vegetable oil, what are the health perception, and the current research finding. And then I'll talk about what are the other benefits you can derive from palm oil, and then just conclude the presentation. So I think this looks very familiar to everyone. Like Mr. Chandran was saying, when you go to the supermarket, all these aisles or the label of the aisle, we have a different type of oils. This picture I took at the Eon supermarket in Shah Alam because I live there. So that's why it looks like this. Here you see a lot of palm-based cooking oil. And here on this aisle, at the end here, you see all this canola, sunflower, corn oil. And the other part, it contains all this olive oil. So the whole section on olive oil from different parts of the world. And here we have soft oils from top shelf until down here. And the other part, we have all the palm-based cooking oil. So even at your eye level, you have palm oil, but it's different section. So whichever section you go, you'll see a different brand, you'll see a different oil, whether it's imported or it's locally produced. But if you look at here, these are the typical palm-based cooking oil here, and also the other soft oil. But we have one here which look very different, the red palm oil. You can find this on our supermarket as well, but it's not as many as the normal oil. So these are the soft oil with the brand Mazola, but you can have sunflower, you can have canola, you can have a blend as well. And this group are the olive oil. So here in Malaysia, even though we are the producer of palm oil, you can find many oil as well. These are imported oil, and they cost a bit more than our normal palm oil. But like our previous speaker said, like also Mr. Chandran said, people buy other oil, and the shop also like to sell other oil because they make a lot more money compared to selling palm oil. But we as Malaysia, we should be buying palm oil. That should be the case. So if you look at palm oil, so this is what everybody knows how palm oil look like. This is palm fruit, and these are all the products that we can make from palm oil. Not just food products, but also personal care and household care. So from the moment we wake up, when we have our breakfast, we take bread with margarine and other things, so it's also palm-based. And then we have lunch with salad, and we have our snack in the afternoon, our tea with the cakes made from palm oil. And even if you want to have dinner, the candle also can be made from palm oil. So candlelight dinner with palm-based candle. So that is very useful. So the moment you wake up, even when you take shower, you use the palm-based shower cream or shower gel. Your toothpaste will also contain palm oil. Maybe you don't realize it, but that is the reality. So almost, like say, 8 out of 10 products that you find on the supermarket shelf will be containing palm oil as part of the ingredient. So we cannot avoid it. It's there and it's everywhere, and it is part of our life. So if we look at palm oil, you see here, this is where we get the palm oil from the mesocarp, and this is the palm kernel oil. Everybody knows this. This is just like a recap, just to show that from a single fruits, there's the palm oil here, we can get 2 different oils from the mesocarp and also from this nuts, which is the palm kernel oil. So you have 2 distinct oil. One is a very long chain fatty acid, and the kernel is a shorter chain. So if we compare palm oil with the other vegetable oil, this is how it will look. So the red color, these are the saturated fatty acid. This is the monounsaturated fatty acid. This is the polyunsaturated fatty acid. So the light blue here, this is all the MUFA. We call this MUFA, monounsaturated fatty acid, and the blue one as PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid. So if you look at the vegetable oil, you look at coconut and palm kernel oil, they look almost similar in terms of fatty acid composition. And then you look at milk fat, you look at cocoa butter and tallow. These are more of high saturated fatty acid content in the oil. So you look at palm stearin, palm olein, palm oil, and here you see lard. Lard is not so much different from palm when it comes to the fatty acid composition. And now when you have a new breed of pig, the light composition of the fatty acid is not much different from our palm oil, but that's just for a comparison. So, and this side, you have all the soft oil. For example, like the olive oil, high oleic sunflower, canola, soybean, corn, and sunflower. These are the liquid oil that you find on the supermarket shelf. And they contain a very high level of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acid. And we'll see how this behave compared to palm oil and other saturated oil in the next few slides. But if you look, just to show you, even within these little fruits here, you get crude palm oil and crude palm kernel oil. You look at the fatty acid composition here from C12 to C18-2. This is with 2 double bonds. This is 1 double bond. This is no double bond, so this is saturated. You see that for the CPO, we have more of the higher fatty acid composition. While for the CPKO, the palm kernel oil, we have a lot more of C12, C14. So these are 2 distinct properties, and it can be used for different purposes. So you can have one fruit, but many applications in terms of foods and non-food. And most of the PKO is used for the cosmetic. So when we have the mini Unilever in the future, we can have a lot of this palm kernel oil as part of the ingredient for the cosmetics. This is being used currently by most of the companies who are producing personal care and personal products. For example, your lipsticks, your lotion, it has a lot more of the shorter fatty acid compared to this type of long chain fatty acid, which is mostly used for food products. Then, why is oil and fat so important? Because it is part of our life, it's part of our body as well if you look at our cell composition. So if you look at these roles and the function of fat, we know that it provides a source of energy. It also provides essential fatty acid, and it is useful for our skin. and tissues because it gives the body, it makes it healthy. And also it helps to regulate our hormone and the process inside our body. And we also must remember that there are a lot of vitamins which are oil and fat soluble. So if you have a very low fat diet, you may not be absorbing all these vitamins. It's easy to remember, adik. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K. So oil and fat function as a carrier so that they can be easily absorbed by our body. So that is one of the importance. And besides that, if your food does not contain any oil and fat, imagine how does your biscuit taste, how does your cake would taste if you don't use any oil and fat. It will be very dry and very hard. There's no satisfaction when you take this kind of food. So it functions to give the palatability to the food and enhance the feeling of satiety of food when we eat it. It also gives the body for your cakes, your biscuits. If you don't have a solid fat like margarine or butter to make your cake might be flat like that. It doesn't look good, it won't taste good either. And also it acts as a cooking medium because oil and fat is mostly used as a cooking medium, especially in our tropical climate and our culinary style. We use a lot of oil and fat for frying and cooking. And well, this is the example of what we always use for. To fry our kuih, to fry our chicken, shrimps, mixed vegetable. So this look very familiar to everyone. And all this vegetable oil, especially palm oil, is very suitable for frying purposes. I'll share with you later why it is so. But for those who always cook at home, you will notice one thing. Here, every weekend you have to clean up your kitchen. You can see all those little stickiness or thing at your fans or around this area, and even on your stove you see a lot of like gel-like material. And different type of oil will give you a different consistency of the gel-like material. And we have noticed and we have checked that when we use palm oil, you will find that there will be less stickiness, or we call it gang, stuck to all this, like at your fan and at the side of the wall here, and even and on your stove. So if you have not cooked before, so next time you cook over a few days, try to see on your kitchen wall what happened. So that is something, the difference that palm oil can give you, especially I think the housewife will notice that, because you spend a lot of time preparing the food and all those things, and you need to clean the kitchen as well. So this is one thing, very simple thing that sometimes we don't notice also, but there are a lot of other implications actually if you do not use the cooking oil properly. For example, here, when we fry our food using different type of oils, you see there is some polymerization happening during the frying process. So if the oil is not heat stable, it will tend to polymerize faster than the other oil. So soft oil like soybean, canola and sunflower, this contain a lot of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, and at high temperature when you do frying, they tend to polymerize. So if you look over in this graph also, this is palm oil, soybean, canola and sunflower. Day one, everything is fine. So after 3 days, you start to see the percent of the polymerized triacylglycerol in the oil itself. So the longer you fry at the higher temperature, the higher the polymerized compound will be generated. So you cannot be using the oil so many times because the level of polar compound, level of polymer will increase. And these are not a very good material to be present in your oil when you cook, because it can lead to other things that will cause you health problems. So usually when you use oil to refry back your food, we would suggest don't use it more than 3 times. But it also depends on what type of product you fry that. For example, if you fry the chicken, you cannot use it for 3 times because the oil will be containing a lot of polar compound as well as other things, because the chicken itself will also release a few things into the oil. So you have to be very careful as well when you reuse the oil for your cooking purpose. And sometimes you will see the oil, if you reuse it, will start to foam. What does that mean when the oil starts to foam? So this is actually what happened. When you reuse the oil many times, you see that we check the foam index and we check the polymer content. So if the oil starts to have very high foam, meaning that it already has a lot of polymer in there. So don't use it anymore. It's not good for your health. Because we are consuming this product and we know when it has polymer, it also have free radical and other things that is being put into the food that you eat. So we have to be careful. So we look at palm oil in here. This is the re-engineered rapeseed or the canola. So they have more heat stability compared to the initially used like the soybean. Now soybean also have been re-engineered with the GMO type of variety, so they are more heat stable. Initially they are not so good. So those are something that you can look into, or you can be more observant when you cook and see what is happening during the process of cooking. And one thing also, when you cook, especially when you do frying, high temperature frying, this tend to happen. The oil that you use, now it's already actually start burning, because you will see all this whitish blue smoke coming out. So this is also not good, because you will have a lot of polymer being produced in here, and you have a lot of other particulate matter being generated from the oil. And if you compare all the vegetable oil that we have so far, plus some of the fats from the animal, you can see that palm oil, soybean, lard, canola. This canola and soybean, these are the GMO material, so they have now re-engineered it to be more heat stable. So the smoke point is much better now compared to the previous variant. So we want to have the oil with a very high smoke point so that it does not burn easily and does not create any free radical in your food during the frying process. And if you see, coconut oil, it has higher level of saturated fatty acid. It should be very stable and very heat stable. But because of the shorter fatty acid chain present in coconut oil, so it can burn quite fast compared to the other oil. But we actually previously we have been using a lot of coconut oil in our cooking before palm oil come into the picture. Because when I was growing up, I can still remember my mom using coconut oil in making curry and other things. So these are some of the parameters that you can look at when you want to choose a good frying oil. So we also have done quite a number of studies to look at the oxidative stability when the oil was heated repeatedly. And we find out that palm oil, when we compare to corn and soybean oil, has better thermal oxidative stability, so it doesn't burn, it doesn't polymerize as fast compared to the soft oil. And all this paper, if you are interested, are available. I can give you the link or the copy, or I can send you the soft copy if you want. And also, the effect, what happens when we eat product that's been heated so many times. So we have done an animal studies to look at the effect on this heated oil with or without cholesterol on the animal model. And we've seen that heated palm oil, even though we have gone through a few cycles, it gives a better protection against the onset of atherosclerosis compared to polyunsaturated oil. Because as you know that corn or soybean, they are easily polymerized at a high temperature because of the unsaturation that's present in the oil. So these are the things that we may not see immediately. Sometimes when you go to the doctors, when you have some headache or anything, or when you're sick, most of the doctors would advise that, okay, please use this oil in order for you to stay healthy. They would recommend either soybean or canola or olive oil. But looking at our culinary style, those oils are not very healthy, because this is what's happening. So when the doctor tell you to switch oil, ask him back. Ask him back why is he suggesting this type of oil? Because the doctors that we have in Malaysia, sometimes they just listen to the Western, what the Western have been saying. And later I'll show what happened. And so, the other thing that has been shown, but this is only an animal model, even from early stage, as early as the 80s and in the 90s, when we consume a lot of soft oil, here, like corn oil, this was done by Sylvester in 86 and published in Cancer Research. And then Dr. Sundram at that time was working with MPOB. So really the same thing using crude palm oil, refined palm oil, corn oil and soybean oil. You look at the tumor incidence of this soft oil. It is higher, much higher compared to palm oil, because when you use the cooking technique with the soft oil, you see a lot of free radicals being generated because they are not stable at high temperature. And long-term consumption of this oil can lead to the formation. So if you're just talking about a few days, you won't see anything. So the animal model, the study that we did over a few months, feeding with all this oil, you will see something start to develop. If you can develop in animal model, what will stop it from happening in our body? So these are something that you have to be aware of when your doctors propose for you to use corn or soybean or canola. So the paper is available if you are interested. And if you were asking, so when is the right time for you to discard the oil that you use? Because you're not going to check the oil in your kitchen, you're not going to check for the polymer or for the compound, but we have a guideline when you should discard your cooking oil after you use it. You cannot be using it until it's turned black, but sometimes when you go to Pasar Malam or night market here, you see the hawkers using the oil to fry things. Please be aware of that, because sometimes they reuse that many times. And I can assure you that the polar compound in that brownish or blackish oil is going to be very high. And that will cause a lot of havoc in your body if you continue to eat that kind of fast food from the Pasar Malam or night market. So be careful. It's better to cook at home. But even though we don't have all the time to cook, but it's still a good thing to do actually. And look at the smoke point, because when the oil starts to give bluish smoke, when you start cooking, then that is something that, an indication that you should be changing the oil. So the free fatty acid, this will then, if you have high level of free fatty acid after the oil has broken down, then the smoke point will be low, so it will start to get smoky very fast. So those are the things that you should be looking at when you cook, or if you want to reuse your cooking oil. And these are the things, sometimes we just go through like automatic motion when we do cooking and as a part of our everyday activity. But I think from now on you can be more aware of what you're doing in our own kitchen. And the other thing that I want to also share with you, when we cook, after a long time, there is something also being generated in the kitchen. But these last few months, you see all the haze outside there because of the burning, and we were talking about haze earlier. We actually did this in China, looking at the particulate matter 2.5 micron, so we call it 2.5 PM 2.5 emission from the kitchen. This is just to show the haze outside in Beijing. And what we did was to have a study conducted in China with the, I'll show you another one. So what we did was to study different type of oil when we do a very fast cooking and see how much particulate matter at 2.5 microns is emitted using a different type of oil. So here, okay, we did this with the Institute of Environmental Health and Related Product Safety. This is like CDC in China. So our lab in Shanghai collaborate with them, And what they did was to fry 400 grams of capsicum crispy at about 7 minutes using different oil, which is palm oil, soybean, peanut, and rapeseed. We use peanut here because Chinese like the flavor, so that's very local. So you can see here, this is the volume or milligram of the particulate matter at 2.5 micron being emitted during the frying process. Because this oil has high level of unsaturation, they evaporate faster. And you see the particulate matter that's been generated is higher compared to palm oil. Palm oil also emits some, but it's much lower compared to the other oil. So this is happening in your kitchen. We do this under control study, but in our kitchen, the same thing is also happening. So here, this study was also done in China, but not by us, by another institution. They look at the PM 2.5 emission and the effect on health, and they use the pregnant lady as one of the subjects. They get all the clearance from the Chinese authority. So depending on the type of cooking style that we have, the level of particulate matter 2.5 micron is different. The emission level is different. And some of them exceeded the level of air quality for indoor standards. And so if you look at the EPA standard for the 24 hours PM 2.5, whatever cooking style that are happening in our house, it actually exceeded the standard. So here, we would suggest that the pregnant women, children, and even the elderly are not encouraged to prepare ordinary family cooking for a long time because of this here coming out, the particulate matter coming out. Even though we have the stove here, the fan to suck out the particulate matter, if you are pregnant, you are inhaling a lot of this particulate matter and your baby inside will be affected. And they really did a study to look at the weight of the baby for the women who are being exposed to this type of cooking and those who were not. And it was found that the babies with the women who were exposed, the weight of the baby was much lower. So it has some implication, also it has some implication on the respiratory system of the baby. So these are some of the exposure or the effect of exposure to the PM 2.5. Because when you inhale those little particles, you may not see it very much, but you inhale it and it has the effect on your respiratory system. And here are some of the potential diseases that you might encounter or might have when you were exposed to a prolonged time to the cooking style, especially deep frying and high temperature frying. You have a lot of this particulate matter being produced, and that can have effect on our health after a prolonged exposure. So if you have a wife who is pregnant or grandma staying with you, please don't ask them to cook. Yeah, just to make sure this does not affect their respiratory system, because the young children or the elderly, they are more susceptible to this kind of diseases. And so when you go to the supermarket, think whether you want to buy palm oil or the other soft oil like canola, soybean, and sunflower oil, because these are the implications that before this we don't really pay much attention to it, because they are imported, they are more expensive, therefore they must be good. And that is some other perception that we have. Whatever is good, whatever is expensive is always good. But sometimes it may not be true. And the other thing that I also want to share with you with regard to soybean and canola. So if you look at what is happening in the US, this is some interesting observation. I picked this up from USDA data. And also this, here you can see, this is the consumption of, the per capita consumption of soybean, cottonseed, corn, olive, and also coconut. This line representing the soybean. So here, over here, most of the Americans were taking more of the lard, butter, and a little bit of coconut. But after 1950s or so, the consumption of soybean grows very high, rapidly. And if you look here, from 1980, so after around here, when the consumption of soybean has gone up so high, the level of obesity in the US also increased accordingly as the consumption of soybean increased. So just now in the morning, Mr. Chairman said we are the most obese country in Asia. It's true. We are the most obese among the Southeast Asian country. Why? Are we taking so much of soybean, or have we changed our lifestyle, or are we not doing enough exercise, or being complacent and sitting in front of TV, eating potato chips? Potato chips being fried in this soft oil as well. So this observation is not just numbers because it comes from USDA, so Center for Disease Control. So this is true. There are a lot of other data from the US to show how this correlation is happening in the US. But I just want to share with you because this can also be one of our concerns in Malaysia. And also, this study shows that soybean oil is more obesogenic, so it relates to the graph that I showed earlier. It's more diabetogenic and compared to saturated fats, that is the coconut and also fructose. This was done in the mouse model by the scientists from the University of California, Riverside. It's not coming from MPOB. So this is from US university itself. So this is something that was never been taught quite openly because US is producing soybean, selling soybean, so I don't think they want to make hoo-ha out of this. But it is something that you should know. And that's why I want to share this with you. And if you look here, this is the animal study that they did. Even when they mix soybean with coconut, just compared to the coconut itself on the mice model, you can see that the mice which were fed with soybean mixed with coconut is much more fatter compared to the mice that were fed with only coconut. These are given at the same amount of food for the same duration, control condition, and you can see the difference. So here, you look at the weight gain of the mice which was fed with soybean mixed with some coconut, and here is just the coconut oil, and this is the control diet which is very low in fat and high in fiber. This one, of course, you don't get a lot of weight, but between the coconut and the control, which is the high fiber, low fat, you don't see much difference. But if you compare coconut and the soybean mixed with the coconut, you can see a significant difference. So this one doesn't lie to us. It's not something that we can make up, but it's really based on the studies that was done. So that is something which we also got to know, but was never really made into a public awareness. And here is just to show about the diabetes and the glucose intolerant and insulin intolerant resistant caused by soybean compared to the sad fat. And I have this paper, if you're interested, it's about 30 pages, very thorough and very intensive study that they have done and was published in PLOS ONE, which is a very good journal. So if you're interested, you can just write to me, I can share with you the information. And if we look at the canola oil, okay, it's good because previously people were saying take a lot of PUFA or MUFA oil because they are good for health, because it has a lot of linoleic and alpha linoleic acid, which is omega-6 and omega-3, which is good for your health. So that's what people were made to believe. But there are some studies that show otherwise, because you take this oil on a prolonged time or exposure time, it can increase your inflammation and increase your oxidative stress in your cell, and that will lead to a negative impact and on your memory as well as heart health. So when it impacts your memory, it's talking about Alzheimer's disease and all those things, which at the old age will start to manifest. So when you start to be 60, 65 or 70, this will start their onset. So if you've been taking this for a long time, since you were young until up to 50 or 60, this will be happening to you. And we have seen that, and it has been recorded. And if you search PubMed, you'll see a lot of this information being published there. And in the Western diet, the typical ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is around 15 to 1. This is because they take a lot of soybean and canola, and these two oils has a lot of omega-6 and omega-3. A balanced diet should have a ratio of 4 to 1 or lower. 4 to 1, 3 to 1, or 2 to 1 is good. And if you see here, canola on paper has a ratio of 2 to 1 between omega-6 to omega-3. But inside the body, this omega-6 omega-3 has to be converted to APO or DHA. And the rate of conversion is very inefficient and very slow. And in the body, it's more like 8 to 1 rather than 2 to 1 as it is in the oil. So that can also lead to some health negative effects. So, for example, like some chronic condition like Alzheimer's disease, obesity, and also some of the heart disease. So these are the things that we should know. And for ladies, why we should be worried? if you look at your back thigh or leg, you see some little dimple there, but if you don't have that, that's very good. That means your cells very strong, very firm. But here, if you consume a lot of soft oil like soybean, canola, and sunflower, it can result in cellulites. What happens is that because of the free radical that's being generated when you cook it, it causes inflammation in your body, and this will start attacking your collagen and your cell structure. And as we grow older, we have lower production of collagen, and on top of that, you eat or take a lot of this type of oil, that damage is going to be much faster. So we don't want our leg to look like this, because this is, well, not nice to see even if you look at your own legs, but we can avoid this by taking the right type of cooking oil, do the right exercise, and even, let's say, I'm going to be 60 very soon, but we have to be careful about this because we want to make sure we are healthy, we eat a balanced diet, choose the right oil and fats, and cook properly so we don't destroy the nutrient inside. So, if you take a lot of higher oil with polyunsaturated fatty acid like PUFA, these are very unstable. As I mentioned earlier, it can create free radical, which can lead to inflammation in your body. So this is something that doctors doesn't tell us when you go to see them. So now if you go and see them, if they say take this type of oil, you can then have enough information to rebut that, what they say. And if you look at the global consumption of this oil compared to palm oil, first we look at the production. For the total oil and fat last year is about 261 million tons. And sunflower, rapeseed, which is a part of the canola is here, and soybean, they are actually produced in a larger volume compared to palm oil. These other oil include all the olive oil, lard, tallow, and other oil, because there are about a total of 17 oil and fats that are being traded globally and produced at a global level. And here, palm oil from Malaysia, Indonesia mostly, produce about 18.5 million. This is in 2018. But you look at these three combined, they are still larger than palm oil. And you look at the amount of this oil being consumed as well. If you combine the volume of sunflower, rapeseed, and soybean, that is almost double than the palm oil being consumed. So you see the level of this oil being consumed is much higher, and you can see a lot of health problems that can come out from this. So we have to be careful, and palm oil is one of the oil that you can use as your healthy diet or part of your healthy diet, because it's not causing a lot of this type of problem which we don't see as an immediate effect. It will happen after a prolonged exposure. And the other thing also, these are liquid oils. So if you want to use them for your baking, for your cake, for your biscuits, you have to make them solid, so that it gives you the body for the cake or biscuit or bread that you make. And in order to do that, you have to do partial hydrogenation to make it more solid. And the thing that is that we should know, Codex, this is under FAO/WHO, is going to eliminate all the trans fat or partial hydrogenated oil by 2030. So there shouldn't be any more trans fat by 2030. That is the proposal from Codex. They have already published a paper how to replace trans fat in the food formulation. The paper is available on Codex website if you are interested. It is called Replace. This is the paper that they have published. And so in Malaysia or any other country in this world, we have to be very aware of this, because once it's adopted by Codex, we have all the member countries in this world which will also adopt the same thing. And the trans fat happen when you do partial hydrogenation. So this, everybody knows this. So if you do full hydrogenation, you get sat fat, no issue. If you do partial hydrogenation, you have trans fat. You have one hydrogen here, one hydrogen here. So it is thing that you can do a different extent of partial hydrogenation to get the right IV that you want, but you still have trans fat. So what happened? The oil, the soft oil on its own doesn't have any trans fat. So you can just consume that as your salad dressing or for your cooking. But look at the temperature that you cook. So as you hydrogenate, the more solid they become, you have higher trans fat. So when you have a shortening which has gone through partial hydrogenation, this will have a very high level of trans fat. And we know what happens when you consume a lot of trans fat. And a lot of countries has put in place a policy with regard to trans fat. And you can see here, the first one here, you can't see that very clearly. This is Denmark when they put in the policy on trans fat earlier in 2003 when they limit the trans fat for 2%. And after that, a lot of other countries follow suit. And here, US has already banned PHO, partially hydrogenated oil, in their food products. So as we move along, by 2023, when Kodak complete the work, I think most countries will also put the same policy in place. And if you look at what happens when you take a lot of product containing trans fat compared to saturated fat, because people have been saying that sat fat is the villain. Everything related to your health is caused by sat fat. That's what people have been thinking. But actually trans fat also is giving a lot more health problem compared to sat fat. Here it can cause mortality, cardiovascular, and type 2 diabetes. This is based on the systematic review and also published in a very good journal. So what it says here, they don't find any association between saturated fat and health outcome related to all causes of mortality, CHD, CVD, or stroke, and type 2. But trans fat will correlate with all these problems. So be careful when you go to the shop to buy your groceries. If you buy biscuits or what else, bread or cake, look at the label. If it says partially hydrogenated fat, that one contains trans fat. So, but if you buy dairy product, it has a naturally occurring trans fat. That is fine. That is not industrially produced trans fat. We are talking here about the industrially produced trans fat, which is from the partially hydrogenated oil, from the vegetable oil. And we also have shown that some study that we did, partially hydrogenated fat increase the inflammation. So you see here, this is high oleic palm oil, this is high oleic soybean oil, and this is palm stearin. We did the animal study here. You can see that the inflammation level caused by palm oil, by soybean, and by stearin. You can see this significant difference. So palm oil actually doesn't cause palm oil and palm stearin. You look at the graph here. It's much better in preventing the inflammation compared to the partially hydrogenated soybean diet. So this has been shown scientifically, not just by hearsay. So the other thing, here you look at the effect of also trans fat on our health. What is the proportion of the CHD death due to TFA intake? This is based on the WHO report on the global trans fat elimination. This is part of the replace paper that I mentioned earlier, was published early this year. And you look at the countries where the burden of the death due to the trans fat intake. We have not seen Malaysia in here yet, but if you look here, we also check the product from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, and also some from India, but India is not in here. We noticed that the solid fat product from Pakistan and Bangladesh has a very high level of trans fat. So that is something, and it shows here, it correlates very well. And here are the countries which have already banned partially hydrogenated oil. So US, Canada, Thailand, Chinese Taipei, Guam, and Northern Mariana Island. Peru will do that next year. Saudi Arabia also will do by next year, and Brazil will do by 2021. Malaysia haven't got anything in place yet. We've been talking with our Ministry of Health, but there's nothing in paper or in writing yet at this point. But I think we should be putting this as part of our policy in our health, because this is very related to our health and also very important to look at the livelihood, our livelihood, because if we start taking a lot of trans fat and we don't have any policy in place to stop this, then the implication is quite high in terms of the financial burden, not just to the individual but to our country as well. So we can use palm oil as a substitute, because when you take trans fat, it doesn't really provide any nutritional benefit. And when we propose to remove TFA from the food, we also have to be particular attention. What are the replacements? We don't want to replace trans fat and put in carbohydrate or sugar in there, because it will cause another health problem. And we know that palm oil is semi-solid at room temperature. It doesn't require hydrogenation. So if you want to replace trans fat in the food formulation, then palm oil is a natural substitute for the TFA, because you use it as it is, or you can blend it with a different fraction to get the right consistency and the right body and the functionality for your end product. So when you buy the cookies in the supermarket, look at the label. So this little boy is just wondering whether this one has trans fat or not. But you can look at the label, because you have to label trans fat and sat fat. Just be more observant when you go to the shop. So the other thing that has been happening for a long time is that the perception about sat fat. For us at MPOB, when you talk about sat fat, we always jump, because palm oil is 50% sat fat than unfat. So when somebody say about something bad about saturated fat, we always become very edgy about it, because there are other oil which is saturated as well, but we take more concern, more cautious when we talk about sat fat. So Ansel Keys is the guy that first gives this postulate that fat causes all heart disease, or any sat fat will increase the cholesterol, and he came up with the lipid theory or diet heart theory, which was widely accepted and believed to be true. So what he was saying is, sat fat is not good for you. It causes a lot of health problems. It can cause you CVD and raise all the cholesterol. But is this still valid nowadays? Because we have seen a lot of studies being done to address the issue of CVD and CHD and other chronic diseases. And I'll share with you some of the studies very briefly, and all these papers are available if you're interested. Because you can also now be the ambassador for palm oil, knowing all the information. You can explain to some people who are saying something which is not scientifically based. So this is published in 2010, very simple article about the changing perception or opinion about sat fat. Because even in the 50s when it started, this is where that Ansel Keys started hypothesis. And even though initial epidemiological studies during that 50s, 60s saying that sat fat is the one causing a lot of this heart disease, but later on there are a lot of studies that confirm otherwise. So one thing you should know also, our saturated fat raise good HDL, and therefore minus or neutralize the effect of the LDL cholesterol that it tend to increase a little bit when you take the sat fat. And then, so an intended consequence of low-fat diet may increase carbohydrates. So in the US, they are proposing to reduce the sat fat intake, but they didn't say what you should be taking to replace that. So if you reduce sat fat, but you take carbohydrate to replace the amount of energy that you replace, then sat fat may cause a lot, the carbohydrate may cause a lot more problem than the sat fat that you replace to begin with. So that is something that I will show you later, that carbohydrate is actually is the culprit compared to the sat fat. And if you look at the other systematic review or meta-analysis which was done on sat fat and its correlation to CHD, you can see a lot of paper has been published. These are done by international scientists, international institutions, not coming from MPOB. Because, why I say this, when we went to our Ministry of Health, they were concerned if we are publishing all these studies. They said, you are looking after palm oil. Of course you are going to publish something good, but palm oil is more biased, they said. But, okay, now look at the other papers that were published by other scientists. They are also saying, like this from Keith, numerous clinical studies have shown that sat fat does not increase cardiovascular heart disease or even death. And this were compared against the other oil. So they did a review, systematic review and meta-analysis. The same thing from Siritarino. No significant evidence to conclude that dietary sat fat is associated with CVD or CHD. And even with in 2011 also, Introp also showed there's no association with intake of saturated fat and CVD. And also there's insufficient evidence to judge that the effect on CVD is on replacing sulfur with phosphorus. So there are a lot of papers also published in this area. And another systematic review by Mozaffarian in 2011, by Chowdhury 2014, and D'Souza in 2015 also show the same thing. So this is giving us enough evidence with regards to our palm oil, even though it is 50% saturated in this fatty acid content, actually it's not causing a lot of issue like what people has been saying, especially on this negative perception about our health. And there's also other studies also looking at refined carbohydrate compared to sat fat. Is it worse or better? So you can see the carbohydrate also has different categories, the high glycemic index or low glycemic index. So if you were to substitute saturated fats with carbohydrate with high glycemic index, your chance of getting myocardial infarction is even higher than if you were just taking the sat fat. So these are the things that we should be aware of when it comes to our health. And this is just to give you the summary of the studies that's been done as early as 1992 to compare palm oil with other soft oil. Here we compare with olive oil, canola, and groundnut. And these palm oil studies, all the colored bar are the different oil. And from here you can see that all of them, when it comes to the lipid profile, they behave similarly. There's not much difference either you take olive or palm oil or canola. On the biomarker with regards to lipid profile or cholesterol, they are almost the same. And the latest study published in Lancet on the association of sat fat and carbohydrate with regards to cardiovascular disease. This is a big study that was done in the 18 countries. We call it pure study. They also find the same thing, that saturated fat consumption show no association with cardiovascular disease or myocardial infarction or cardiovascular disease mortality. And sat fat also has inverse association with stroke, so it doesn't cause stroke like what perception was before. And there is also an association between high carbohydrate intake and mortality, especially where intakes of carbohydrate are particularly high. So this is something is coming to come out with regard to carbohydrate, because previously when they said remove trans fat, put in carbohydrate to replace that empty space in the formulation, but now it's showing that carbohydrate actually is not as good as what was thought before. And okay, in last year there's also a study by Rushni and looking at the saturated fat, how does that can be part of your healthy diet. This is also showing the same finding from the previous paper. And another studies that was published in May this year, this is by our officer at MPOB, also looking at the intake of palm oil and the lipid status. This is a meta-analysis study, also to show that there's no significant difference of palm oil intake or lipoprotein compared to other dietary oils. So either you're taking monounsaturated or polyunsaturated oil with regards to the biomarker on the lipid profile, they are almost similar. And this is the latest publication. This is part of the work done by Dr. Sudram and his team with Dr. Tilaka, looking at the cross-sectional studies on dairy pattern impact on cardiovascular disease. This is in Malaysia. But here, this is not a full epi study because we are just taking about 577 healthy, physically active adult in Malaysia, aged between 20 and 65. So this is a normal people like us, from 25 to 65. And to look at the hypothesis, whether if you restrict carbohydrate intake and reduce fat, what happens? So it shows here, if you restrict the carbohydrate intake, your health benefit not will be as good as if you were to take the fat consumption. So better you take fat rather than to reduce fat. So previously people say, okay, reduce, if you want to stay healthy, reduce your fat, take carbohydrate, another thing. But this epi study, like we can call it semi-epi study, to show that actually carbohydrate is causing a lot more health problem compared to sad fat. So these are something new that start coming out that's changing the perception of saturated fat, especially when it comes to palm oil and other highly saturated oil and fats. And Mr. Chandran, I'm sorry to say that I didn't include 3-MCPD with regard to health in this paper, but I promise UPM I can come back and talk about food safety on 3-MCPD itself. And for palm oil, the other benefit that we can get from palm oil is that it contains phytonutrients, especially the vitamin E and carotene, which are rich in our palm oil products. It also has other phytonutrients, but the level is much smaller compared to vitamin E, which is tocotrienol, and the carotene, which is the provitamin A in our red palm oil. And here are some of the benefits of vitamin A, vitamin E, carotene, and other phytosterol. You can read this later if you want. I can leave the slide here if you're interested. And also, if you look at the vitamin E from palm oil, we have two parts. One is the tocopherol, which is at the lower level, and tocotrienol, which is more prominent in our palm oil. And you look at the difference between the two, it's just the side chain. This is fully saturated. We have the unsaturation in the side chain for the tocotrienol. So this is more reactive and more bioavailable compared to the tocopherol. And you look at other vegetable oil, both of them contain tocopherol. The yellow part are the vegetable oil that only contain tocopherol, and this bit of vegetable oil, coconut, palm kernel, rice bran, and palm oil, these two oils contain a very high level of tocotrienol. These are naturally occurring from the vegetable oil. There's another plant, anato, also contain a very high level of tocotrienol, but that's not the oil, it's just the food itself. And if you look at the benefit of tocotrienol, you can see several benefits here from the neuroprotection. This has been published by Dr. Chandenson, also on cancer prevention, anti-inflammation, immune boosting system. And as part of antioxidant, this is very, people know about this. You take tocotrienol, maybe 1 milligram in the morning, 1 at night, will keep your system healthy. And I take that every day because I'm now getting older, so you have to take care of yourself. So if you haven't started, maybe you should start now. You can buy this at our pharmacy. You can buy this at MPOB as well. And it also has the potential improvement for our liver if you have non-alcoholic liver disease. Because non-alcoholic liver disease, if you have that, your liver will be covered by a very slight layer of fat. This is not coming from alcohol, just because of the food that you eat, it may cause that. So Tocotrienol can prevent that. It can also help in hormone regulation and also in bone protection and on the radio protection. This radio protection, we are currently doing some clinical trial with one of the hospital in UK, Royal Marsden here. Here we are using that to look at the royal radio protection of Tocotrienol. Here is just to show you some of the other international collaboration that we have at local and also international level to look at the benefit of Tocotrienol. We are not working on our own anymore. We are collaborating with other universities in Malaysia as well overseas. We don't have a collaboration with UPM on the clinical trial, but we have with University of Science Malaysia, and also we have UMMC at the UM and Penang Medical College. So these are all ongoing studies on Tocotrienol. Just now when Mr. Chandran showed the budget 2020, we have some money to do on Tocotrienol, but he will not be going into this study because this is ongoing, so we might be doing others using Tocotrienol. So if you look at the red palm oil, it is rich in carotene, which is provitamin A. And if you look at the requirement for infant, for children, adult male and female, pregnancy, pregnant woman or lactating woman, you can see how much is required for the daily requirement, and then you can take from red palm oil. Because 1 tablespoon of red palm oil actually is equivalent if you were to take this. I don't think you want to be taking 12 large hard-boiled eggs to get the same level of Tocotrienol or provitamin A. And I don't think you can eat 12 small papaya a day to get the same amount of provitamin A if you just take a tablespoon. Right now, our minister is very heavily promoting red palm oil, just a spoonful a day to get your requirement. And if you compare red palm oil with other normal fruits or vegetables that we are used to, previously we only talk about carrot because it has high level of vitamin E, and also tomatoes and orange. But if you compare that with red palm oil, actually it has, you compare red palm oil to orange juice, it has more than 3,000 times the content of the carotene. So taking 1 teaspoon or tablespoon of red palm oil will come, you don't have to take all of this anymore. It's very easy, but you still need fruits because it has other vitamins. You still need veggie to make your diet a balanced diet. But this is to show you the potency of the red palm oil and the level of the provitamin A that it contains. So what we have done using this red palm oil is to look how effective it is in addressing the vitamin A deficiency. The first time that we did was in South Africa. We looked at the vitamin A level in the students at school in South Africa by giving them the biscuit which was made using red palm oil. And we can see the improvement in the level of vitamin A in their blood. And the same thing what we did in 2014 and 15 is to look at the students in China. We did the same. We gave the biscuits which was made using red palm oil. And what we notice here, before we start, we look at the retinol level in the blood. Then after the intervention, the 6-month intervention, we check again the blood level, and you look at the first step intervention, the deficiency now from 21 is gone down to 6. Then when we stop the intervention, 6-month break, then it has increased again. It doesn't have enough vitamin. And then we do another another intervention, phase 2, we can see that the incidence of deficiency in vitamin A has reduced. So you can see the benefit right away. Was that this is just to show the students and the people who are involved in the studies in China, and we can confirm based on these clinical studies that the effect of red palm oil in addressing the issue of vitamin A deficiency. And currently we are just running another studies in India, which is about to start. The one in Malaysia, we had completed the intervention and currently is doing the analysis, and we hope we can finish this by early next year. And then what our intention here is to use this studies outcome and make the biscuit and talk to MOH to make this part of the ready-to-eat snack in school, so that students in the rural area where we did this study, we did in Pahang, in Perak, and also in Sabah and Sarawak, where it is very remote and rural area where student has very, poor intake of vitamin. And we are now analyzing the data from this area, and hopefully MOH can take it as part of the school program for the ready-to-eat meal or ready-to-eat snack for the school children. And so, when the next time you go to the shop to buy your oil, look at the brand that's available and pick palm oil to be part of your healthy diet, because palm oil is a balanced diet. It has 50-50 fatty acid of unsaturated to saturated, and it is very heat stable. It has no adverse effect on our blood cholesterol or our biomarker, lipid profile biomarker. And it has no trans fat, it's natural. And on top of that, it contains phytonutrients, which are vitamin E, tocotrienol, and carotene, which is good for your health. So please think about palm oil, use it, and now you have enough information to talk to your friends or even to your doctors. If you say something about the other oil, you can convince him now. And I hope we will continue to support and promote palm oil as a good oil as part of our healthy diet, besides doing other exercise and doing healthy lifestyle way of living. So with that, I would like to thank you, and I hope whatever information that I shared with you can be of use for your everyday life. And don't forget to come to our PPOC this year in November from 19 to 21 at KLCC. There'll be a lot more discussion on this issue from upstream to downstream, from what Mr. Chandran covered earlier this morning until what I covered on the nutrition and application, also on the biomass and also on the agriculture side. So with that, thank you very much. If there's any question, I'm happy to answer. If not, I think everybody also want to go home at 4, after 4 now.
What are your views on smart batteries? It's supposed to be the third thing that how is that? How do you think that is as a cooking oil? You know, there is a product out there, Smart Balance, in terms of margarine and also cooking oil, which is 33. You know, what are your views on that as healthy oil?
Yes, okay. I forgot to put Smart Balance in the chart that I showed earlier. Actually, Smart Balance, as it says, so it has equal amount of fat, mono, and buffer. If you ask my own personal opinion, that is better than having a very high buffer or high buffer. So that will be very heat stable because it has enough set fat to confer the stability, and at the same time it has enough buffer and buffer to give you the essential fatty acid. Even though you look at 30-30, so buffer and buffer is about 1:1, which is about what was recommended. Even 4:1 is the best, even lower is better. So for me, if we have Smart Balance type of oil, it is good on the market, it is good for health purposes. But there's no natural oil that has 1:1:1. So Smart Balance is a combination of and it's a blend of olein and soybean or olein and canola to look at the ratio of sag, PUFA and PUFA that you want in the system. Actually, we had another formulation. I showed you high oleic palm olein just now. That is a blend of palm olein and canola or soybean to give you the level of saturated fat, mono and PUFA at 1:1 ratio. And we test the effect on the blood lipids as well as the performance during frying. And it is as good as the palm olein in terms of heat stability. And of course, it doesn't have much effect on the biomarker because the level of the olein in that, or 18:1 or 18:2, is in the right ratio. So that is good unless you have other opinion with regards to the level.
Yeah, this was a very good paper, very encompassing. It's just that with regards to CBD, you did conclude that so far there's no adverse correlation
between palm oil and CBD. But recently, there were two systematic reviews and meta-analysis done by MOH, IMR, to relate palm oil and CBD. And their conclusion, they look at, it was published, one of them is published in PLOS ONE, the other one I cannot remember. 2017 and 2018. These are the latest reviews, as far as I know, between palm oil and CBD. And I think maybe you are aware, the conclusion was that there is no positive correlation between palm oil and CBD. That's what I can recall. And they are asking for more studies. They are suggesting to have more studies to see the effect of palm oil, positive effect of palm oil, cardioprotective effect of palm oil. Red palm oil was not mentioned, this was just ordinary palm oil. So my question being, is this maybe MPOB wants to embark more studies, especially on red palm oil, on CBD? If there is so, maybe UPN could be interested. I'm from UPN. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, on the paper published by the MOH, the review that they did, we were part of the discussion. We looked at the number of all the papers that was used for the review, and we also asked a few questions of the findings, and we also found out that the diet that were used in that paper that were selected, they did not differentiate between palm oil or palm olein or stearin, only palm oil. That's one thing. And then there are not enough papers that were used. The number of papers is not extensive enough, so that there is a possibility why they don't see any correlation between sat fat on CBD. We are not so concerned about palm oil because for us palm oil, if you talk about sat fat, palm oil is part of that sat fat group. So if saturated fat is being seen as not having an adverse effect, then palm oil should have the same information or the same result. So you are right. Talking about palm oil and the relationship to CBD or CHD and other chronic diseases, I am a bit embarrassed to say that we don't have a real epi study. We produce palm oil, we have been eating palm oil, and yet we don't have the scientific studies to show that palm oil is good. That is a gap that we have. So if university and MPOB and other institutions are willing to work together and do a proper epi studies on palm oil and our population, that will be something that we can show to the world. So if UPN can initiate it, we will be happy to be part of it, because when we go to MOH to say that we want to initiate studies on palm oil and other things, they still think that we will be biased. It shouldn't be the case. We follow the international standard and other things. But to them, people outside like WHO or FAO will tell them, oh, this is done by MPOB. There must be some element of trying to show some goodness, but even though the result is the actual result that come out of it. So I do agree with you, we are lacking of this epi study, so that review, the analysis, the meta-analysis or review by the MOH2 still is not concrete enough. We need to do something bigger for our country and to show to the world that palm oil is not the culprit as like people are saying.
Outsiders, non-planters, and the first thing when you say that you are involved in the oil palm industry, so the next one is, how good is your oil palm? Can it be better than, is it better than olive oil? You see? So when you say that, no, our oil is very good and it's this, that and all that I used to say, but still, you got no scientific papers to prove it. You see? But all I can say, look, America is also importing our oil, I mean, Americans won't take our oil if it's not good. That's all we can say. But other than that, they don't believe us. So I feel that, you have come up with so much information here. Part of this should be summarized and should appear in the daily papers at least every day, if possible. In all the papers, Tamil, in Malay, Bahasa, all the papers it should come. Let everybody read in Malaysia first. Let people here know. Our people here also do not know the value of oil palm. Can you believe it? You could explain to them, and they won't believe you. Because they said, no, sebab you tanam kelapa sawit, you mesti cakap macam tu. So very hard, you're very right. This is the thing we are facing now. You see, and we are 100 years already.
Yes.
And we are still talking about all these marketing problems. Our marketing is very poor. You go to other countries and you tell them and they are asking you what is the oil palm tree. So when I tell them no, it's like your palm, your dead trees. Then they have got some ideas, but they don't know the oil. What's the value? Thank you.
Yes, you are very right to say that, because not many Malaysians also know the true value of palm oil. And I have to admit this, we have done a lot of studies, published a lot of data, but we are very poor in communicating to the people. We know about it, but we don't know how to tell the people. We are not marketeers, we are little scientists in the lab doing all these experiments. When we talk to the outside people, we tend to be too technical. People don't understand it. We need marketeers to sell this, to transform this scientific data into layman language where people can understand very easily. So if we have this mass comm student in UPM who can translate all this information, that will be useful, because we have short videos and teasers that we produce at MPOBs that we can share. But I think it's still technical. We need to touch the heart so that people can understand and feel the whole thing. So if no more questions, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Rosida Razian, for providing interesting information on the palm oil health benefits and an interesting Q&A session. As a token of appreciation, I would like to call Professor Dr. Ahmad Ainuddin Nuruddin to present UPM Memento to Madam Rosida Razian, the fifth speaker for the seminar. Thank you, Professor Dr. Ahmad Ainuddin Nuruddin. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to ask your cooperation to fill in the feedback form in your seminar kit file and pass it to the Secretariat counter outside of the room. The organizer will also send the Google feedback form to your email and kindly provide the feedback for us to improve in the future. On behalf of the organizer committee, I would like to thank you for staying with us today to gain valuable knowledge on the Malaysian oil palm industry. We appreciate your support and presence today. We hope you benefited from the 5 sessions presented today. We have prepared pack kuih. Kindly take it at Bilik Jamuan downstairs. Please proceed to downstairs to have a group photo session. Please proceed to downstairs to have a group photo session. With that, thank you and see you again in our next event. Thank you.